we expect our kids to do it, but yet we're not doing it ourselves.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
The amount of parents or mums will say to me, I just want them to do and love themselves. I'm like, oh, well, are you doing that? And they're not. So
be the example you want your kids to be. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Just a little taster of what is coming up on the show. But first, please do like this video and subscribe to the channel. And also tell your friends and family about this podcast. Please let us know in the comments if you would like to hear any particular topic in relation to sleep or health. Then I will create a show especially for you, just for asking the question. So let's get on with the show.
Hello, everybody, and you are very welcome back to the Empowering Family Health podcast. This week, I have an incredible guest, and I'm really excited about this conversation because I'm really passionate about this whole area of family health, family well-being, and really empowering your children. And my guest today is going to talk to us all about that. Let me read out Libby's bio before I bring Libby on. Libby is... Let me bring up her bio.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be such an incredible... Okay, so Libby is an intuitive coach. She's an energy healer. And it is Libby's mission and her purpose in this world to help families to thrive and create the next generation of emotionally healthy, empowered and happy children. She is all about empowering parents to raise confident, resilient and happy kids now. So you can see why I am so excited about this incredible lady. She also has her own radio program, Yahoo Radio. Did I say that right, Libby?
Yeah, You Are
Radio. So she's a presenter on her own radio program called Parent Talk. So do check that out. It's online. So do check that out. And all the links of her profiles and her social media and the radio program will be in the show notes as well. So do check that out. Also, please subscribe to this podcast, like it, share it. This is going to be incredible information that will be shared on this conversation. So do like it and share it. Everybody could do with this, believe you me. And subscribe to the channel as well for more empowering conversations. So Libby, you're very welcome to the program. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Great. I love this whole conversation, and I'm really so appreciative of the work that you do, Libby, in the world, because you make the world a better place for me and for everybody else as well with the work that you do. So Libby, before we dive into the conversation, just tell us a little bit of your background, why you do the work that you do, why you're so passionate about it. Really curious to hear that.
I'm passionate about it because as a little girl myself, I struggled with confidence and self-esteem. I had depression at an early age and nobody knew what to do with me. I never felt that I fitted in completely, hated school, really struggled being around school, had a lot of time off with illnesses. And yeah, nobody really knew how to handle the situation. And I think that through being a parent myself, and going on my own journey and seeing how perhaps my old stuff that I hadn't dealt with were affecting my kids, it made me sort of take a step back and go, right, okay, I really want to start looking at this and at myself. And I had chronic pain also for 16 years. I had a complex regional pain syndrome, and I basically went on a long journey going inward, dealing with all the trauma, everything that was inside that I'd locked away because I was so frightened of these emotions that I had. Yeah, when I started to work with myself, I cured my chronic pain, which specialists are like, how, you know, they just can't believe that I'm now pain free, because it was a complex condition that I had. And when I dealt with my demons and all that had gone on with me, I saw a huge difference in my kids. And it's like, wow, this really works. And because of that, I created programs and work with parents now. I know that children need that weight lifting off their shoulders, you know, because as parents, without realizing, we put our weight onto their shoulders.
Yeah.
So yeah, I help parents lift the weight off those children's shoulders and help the parents heal. So
it's so great, Libby, that you understand this and that you've been through this, you've experienced it, because I believe, you know, people that help us, you know, and they have these programs and everything else, I believe they're most effective when they've been through this and they understand, so you can really relate and you can empathize with parents.
Yeah.
And I think I've looked at some of your work, Libby, and it's just so important that people take this on and be responsible. And I always say, you know what, it's not the parents' fault. Being a parent doesn't come with a manual, right? We learn what we learn from our parents.
Yeah.
And you know, God, there's so much I want to unpack here, Libby, and we only have more time. But we learn as parents, so it's not our fault, right? So because we learn, and tell us about how we learn. Bring us back to, you know, when we're a child and how we learn, Libby, because you mentioned you know, about fitting in, and you locked away some of your emotions because you couldn't deal with how you were feeling with things. And as children, our brain is in a certain way, and our brains are still developing, and nature did this on purpose. So we learn at a very young age, and we absorb literally everything, even, you know, and especially the environment that we're in. And this is so important, why we need to provide a safe environment where our children grow up. And you mentioned fitting in, that words, fitting in and locked away. You locked away a lot of emotions because your brain didn't know how to process it. Can you talk about that, how the brain is in a child and how they're so different and how they don't learn the way that we do as adults? Talk a little bit about that. I think it's really important.
Well, it gets because I work in a very whole brain approach and help parents communicate and recognize what side of the brain their child is in at certain points, because, you know, as kids they can flip from one side of the brain to the other. They can't regulate their emotions, you know. You know, their brain just cannot do that at an early age. And I feel that society, the education system, we put far too much pressure on children to conform and be a certain way and behave and sit still. Kids just want to be kids. And so when we start to do that, and we speak to them like adults, and, you know, we even praise our kids and say, oh, our children are so mature because we can have adult conversations. Their brain just can't do that. And so what they do is, because they so desperately want to please, because they think that's the way of feeling that love, you know? And so they push things down to conform and be a certain way. And this is why you get so many kids rebelling, not, you know, behaving the way they should behave, and then classed as naughty kids. They're not. They're just trying to express what's going on for them. And for me, I think being brought up in an environment where my dad was a very powerful, strong character, and it was very much children should be seen and not heard. And I think because I couldn't see any other kids my age looking like they were going through what I was going through. It was unheard of, really. And nobody, like I said, understood what was going on for me. So I just, to be, I think, completely safe in my environment, I just went inward with it. I just went totally inward and pushed it down. I mean, I was off school for 3 months.
Wow.
You know, I was in bed for 3 months.
Wow.
And unfortunately, I'll say this, I had, he was a psychologist or a psychiatrist that was sent to my home to see me. And he came into my bedroom, so my space, and he sat next to me, and I just went totally shut down and went inward. I felt danger. I felt danger with this man.
There was something wrong.
Something wrong. I just didn't like him. And my mum sat on the end of the bed, and he started to ask me questions, and I was mute. I wouldn't look at him. I wouldn't answer him. I just didn't like it. And And so he got my hand and he nicked my hand to try and get a response out of me, you know, to see if I would react. I didn't. And basically, to cut a long story short, he said to me, you've got your parents wrapped around your little finger. And if you don't get out of bed and go back to school, I'm going to take you away from your parents and put you in a children's home.
Oh my God, Libby.
And that's how my mental health, because nobody knew it was mental health, emotional well-being, nobody knew it was anything like that. They couldn't find anything physical, but that's how it was dealt with.
Yeah.
And he was serious.
Yeah.
He was deadly serious.
That happens so much, Libby, doesn't it? I mean, it happens so much. And then children have been told you've been bold.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So they've been labeled as bold. And then now the children know they're not pleasing their parents. Now they're feeling even more disconnected from their parents, never mind from themselves.
Yeah. I was very, very scared. And I went back to school, but it was the worst possible thing, the way it was handled. It just made me totally worse. So, you know, the way the brain works in children is so different. We get to a certain age, round about, I think, the 20s, where our brains become whole-brained again. So from a period of time, a big period of time, so many parents and teachers are communicating from the opposite side of the brain as what the child is. So it's really important to understand that and learn all about that, so you can then communicate from the same side as
I love this, Libby. You're so right. And I think this is crucial for parents to get this. And there's nothing wrong. Like parents, as I say, they didn't come with a manual, and this is all learning, but it's an awareness. So this is what your work is creating this awareness so that parents know, but to take on a responsibility then of acting and becoming and behaving a certain way for their children, but also understanding their children. And this thing of labeling their child as bold. And we talk about love. Love is absolutely crucial, love and belonging. And that was my story. You know, I never felt loved in my environment, and that caused me to be a certain way, right? Because your body adapts. But I maladapted, like many children, become rebellious, getting in with the wrong crowds, looking for love somewhere else where you can be love bombed, then you can get into other trouble with sexual abuse, maybe, because this is something I spoke about recently in the media, and that's what happened to me. And this is a very big possibility. You know, when we talk about domestic violence and people blaming, it's just disconnection on so many levels. And you mentioned the word conform, and I love that, Libby, because we are conforming adults. We are conforming to systems. We are giving our power away the minute we conform, and the same with our children. Now, you talk a lot about empowering children. How do we empower children, Libby?
It's giving them choices, and you can give your kids choices from a very, very early age, as in, what colour cup would you like? What colour plate would you like? You know, just asking those questions. So many parents are so incredibly busy that they do everything for the kids and go, right, that's it, you know, no, you can't change it, and it ends up in a big argument. So it's all about empowering. I always say that, you know, when our children are born, we are their managers, and it then gets to a certain age where we then need to become their coaches. And this is when we start to empower them, give them choices, ask them questions, let them make mistakes, let them fall over, you know, let them go on their journey. Because a lot of parents that I work with just don't want their kids to go down the same journey that they've had. And it's like, as horrible as it is as a parent to see your child suffer or struggle with things, you've got to let them go on those journeys so they can learn for themselves and experience. It's their path.
And to feel it, and you're the emoji coach, so you coach through emojis. And I love this because children find it very difficult to explain how they're feeling, so you use emojis. Talk to us a little bit about that, because that's really important.
Emojis are huge, and you know, I use them a lot as well, and all kids use in text messages, social media, they use emojis. So many people are using them. And it was actually the web designer at the time that I had, and he said, you know, what about using emojis? And I was like, and he said, but you're all about the emotions. So I created my own emojis and the emoji chart as well. And it's it's just a great way of, it's like an icebreaker. You know, if we say to somebody, even an adult, never mind a child, well, how do you feel? Why do you feel like that? It's like you're backing them up against the wall, and they feel like they've done something wrong. Whereas if we do it in a relaxed way, using emojis and play games with them, it's just, they instantly go, oh, actually, yeah, or that. And when I work with kids, if they come to my home or I go to their home, I've got the big emojis, and they put them on the floor, and they put them in a certain order, and they, you know, they just do. I sit and watch them, and they do their own little thing, organizing these emojis.
Yeah.
But adults are using them as well. So the parents that I'm working with, they buy the emoji chart. The parents are expressing how they feel to their kids by using the chart.
That's so important.
Yeah.
Parents expressing how they feel.
Yeah.
Because parents can have a bad day too.
Exactly. And kids, I always say to parents, you know, express how you feel to your kids.
Even if you're sad.
Even if you're feeling sad, because take it off their shoulders, because kids can feel it. They're super sensitive. They can feel energy, you know, so you can walk into that kitchen with a smile on your face, but they will feel what's going on with you.
And that has an impact.
They will take it on as if it's something. So I say to parents, just say, do you know what? I'm not feeling great today. It's nothing to do with you. It's my stuff. But I'm just letting you know, just in case you feel something. Great
Piece of advice, Libby. That really, really is, letting them know, because now the child knows there's nothing wrong with them, because children do take it on. They're and at the end of the day, children will do anything to please their parents, because if their parents are happy, then they're going to be happy with the kids. And that's how, now we talk about love and belonging and all that, love should be unconditional. And, you know, when we understand our children and when we can communicate with our children, I love that you're using these emoji things, because children can't analytically explain how they're feeling, but they can with these emoji. And it's a great way. I always talk about conversations. If we can just have a conversation, be able to open up conversations, and this is a type of conversation. I think this is absolutely crucial, that we communicate. Communicate is coming together, coming together, so that we can be connected with each other, and there's a strength in that, and there's an understanding and empathy, and I just love how you're doing that. It's so effective. I want to talk to you about just bringing you back to generational family behavior patterns. I just wrote this down because I think this is super important, and I know this is a long topic, a long conversation, but can you touch on this? Because I always say to parents, it's not your fault. It always comes from somewhere when people are acting, behaving, or if they have an addiction maybe, or whatever, because we do see that. Let's face it, let's be real here, there is a lot of alcoholism, gambling, all that sort of stuff. So and for me personally, I had to forgive somebody in my family because I got to see who he really was. My father, he was an alcoholic, but I got to see that it came from somewhere in his family. But I think it's crucial that we need to break the pattern, this generational pattern. So talk to us a little bit about that, Libby.
So this is something that I work with a lot, because we just take on stuff, you know, like you say, it could be from our parents, could be from a teacher, it could be from anywhere, and we literally carry it, and we carry it quite often because we come into this world thinking it's our responsibility to do that, you know. And I did that with my mum. I took on a lot of her stuff. I also had to forgive my dad. And you don't realize the pattern, and you just do not realize. And I know that I've broken that pattern in my generation, so it stops with me. I've healed. When you heal yourself, you're also healing your past generation as well. You know, if we go into a deeper meaning of healing there, and it has a ripple effect where it just spreads out, and we're healing the people around us without them even doing anything. But it is amazing how, I was thinking about this yesterday, actually. I got out of the shower with wet hair. One of the things that my mum always used to say to me was, you don't go outside with wet hair. You don't go in the cold and fasten, you know, you don't have a bare chest and this, that and the other. I did it with my daughter. And guess what? She used to get a cold every time because I had passed that belief on with her. Whereas now I'm just like, I would go out with wet hair in winter knowing I will not get a cold or anything. It's little things like that. That, you know, that we pass on, and the energy passes on down, and whether they realize it or not, they take on that belief.
Yeah, without question.
Yeah, so it just, and you know, all these beliefs and all these traits and illnesses even just come down, and behaviors come down the family line. So it's really, really important to cut those cords and to heal, and to go, right, actually, I'm here on this planet. My purpose is to stop this now. And so I know this isn't going to be passed on down to my kids or their kids or their kids, because it just keeps on going down the family line.
It's huge. It's absolutely, and it's very powerful. And what's critical to understand about this as well, like what you said, Libby, is we don't even realize just little beliefs that you know, that passed on, even how we cook certain things or habits, you know, and that comes from us. So maybe have a look, anyone who's listening here now, have a look and ask yourself, where did I learn to do X, Y, and Z this certain way, you know, and why did my mother do this? Where did she learn it from? And start to ask questions, you know, because that's what we don't do. We don't ask questions. We literally take things at face value, and then we conform to the past way of being, so conforming again. So this is where our power comes from, isn't it, when we start to question?
Yeah, but one thing I'll also say that I found is that kids take on our values and our beliefs. They do, again, because they want to please us. From the age of 5, you know, they've got their values and beliefs and taken on from us. But they then hit a certain age where majority of them start to form different beliefs and their own values. Now, a lot of parents find that really hard, because it could be the extreme opposite of what the parents is. So when I work with parents around this, I say, but that's okay. They're allowed to have their own. They're forming their own. And they're different from yours, but that's okay. Because a lot of parents struggle with that. Because it's like, oh, well, they're very different to me, and that goes against my belief, and that goes against my values. I'm like, well, that's all right. That's okay. It's
like they're losing them. And I really get that. And you know, when they become teenagers and they're becoming responsible, and this is where they're having their own sense of self-worth, and they're questioning things, and they want to do things that they value. And we often see this typically, you know, where the mommy or the daddy is a lawyer, or they work in IT, and they expect their children to follow in line with them. And we put them into college or whatever, doing these courses to become a lawyer or a doctor or whatever, when in fact they might just want to be a shoe salesperson, and they're really happy because the hospitality environment, whatever. I don't know. I'm just saying an example. We need to let our children follow where their passion is, where they're happy, and it's the happiness that really counts. It's where they're happy, because we've seen successful people, millionaires, and then they turn around, they've reached their success, or at least that's what they thought, but now they're not happy, you know, and there's something to feel empty. So I think it's really important to let children follow their own heart and their passion.
There are so many young people doing, you know, sixth form, doing A levels and what have you, and I know they're doing it for the parents, and they don't really want to do it. So, you know, and it's really sad. And, you know, parents will say, but I just want them to thrive. And I just want them, like, you just want them to not be like what you did if you feel you were a failure, and they could do so much more. And they're like, well, yeah, that's right. I'm like, but they don't want to do that. So and you can see it, Libby, when children are following my daughter, for example, now she loves art. And I don't have to tell her to practice her art. She's just doing it, you know, she's just doing it all the time because it's something that she loves to do. So that there's a clue, you know, if they're doing something often, that's what they're passionate about, without I have to do this. Just no, I have to do this. I want to do this. You know, there's a difference, and there's a big energy difference in that as well. And just when you mentioned there about kids doing A levels and getting the best marks and all this, and we see a lot of kids been rewarded for getting A's and A pluses or whatever. And for me, I think that's really sad. You see school sports days, and kids are being rewarded for coming first place. That, me personally, I don't know if you feel the same, Libby, but that's given the wrong message, in my opinion, because it's like the other children who came in last feel not good enough. They're not making their parents happy. But you know what? I think it's important to reward our children for trying, for the effort. Yeah, definitely. And a lot of schools have systems up in place. Like there's one for attendance, and if you get a certain percentage, you go on trips. And there was one particular year where my daughter didn't get to go on the trip. Now, we had reports coming home every month saying what an amazing student what she was, you know, how hard she's working. She's got a gold stamp, she's got this, but because she was 1% below that mark,
oh my God,
she didn't get to go on the school trip. And I went bonkers at the school. And I just said, what are you doing to these kids? She's off school because she's stressed. You know? And her immune system is low. There was another girl who didn't get it because she'd got a serious illness and had to go to hospital a lot of the time. She didn't get to go on the trip. So it, you know, it is. It's
giving the wrong message.
Yeah, definitely.
It's giving it, and we really need to be super mindful of letting our kids feel good enough, and that's saying it's like a punishment, kind of, isn't it, really? You know, if you want to look at it that way, and that's how children are perceived now. I'm not good enough, and you know, and they're letting their parents down. So I think this is a huge area, maybe, to I think kids really need to be rewarded for their efforts and to be encouraged, you know, and that we love them no matter what, whether they get a D or an A.
Yeah, this is it. I always used to say to my kids, how do you feel, you know, getting that? And it's getting them connected to how they feel that they've done X, Y, and Z, rather than motivating them with something, you know. I know a lot of parents buy the kids stuff, and they're like, oh, I've got this reward because, you know, yeah, great. But it's, how do you feel? You know, and it's motivating kids in a different way of like, how do you want to feel when you get your results? And do you want to feel like this, or do you want to feel like this? And that's what motivates them, you know, and gets them and drives them. We're motivating them in a very wrong way, I feel. It's getting them to understand how they feel. It's all about, everything is about how we feel, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what drives us. It's how we're feeling, the energy, because there is an energy in how we're feeling. And it's really important that we're in touch with that. And like what you say to the children, how do you feel? That's a very, very empowering question. Yeah. How do you feel? Because we're telling them that how they feel, it matters to us. And we're also helping them to self-regulate, back to self-regulation again, and then their self-esteem, their confidence can evolve from that, when they understand how they're feeling, and they can communicate it as well, and they know that somebody wants to help them, and we're encouraged them, and all of that is so powerful. I want to talk, we just have a few minutes left, and I just want to touch on well, there's two things I want to touch on. So there's a lot of overwhelm, Libby, in our families at the moment, in the world, in society. Stuff has happened in the last 2 years. We all know about that. And it's caused families to be locked in and really to be with each other. And, you know, there's a lot of triggers, people getting on each other's nerves. So there's a lot of concerns with, you know, finances, and where there's worry and upsets, there's stress. So what's happening in the family there with your overwhelm, and what can we do to tackle that, Libby? I know that's a very big question, but I'll see how we get on.
So a lot of the mums that I work with are in overwhelm, and what happens is that we go straight into our head, we go into the logical brain, and we feel this overwhelm, and you know, we're very much in the sympathetic nervous system, and we can't sleep properly, we can't digest our food, we're stressed. That has an effect on the kids, and all our decisions come from the logical part of the brain. So what's really important is to connect with our bodies, our hearts, take time out, have some self-love, and just, even if you can have a few minutes a day to sit and just place your hand on your body and allow yourself to feel what it is you're feeling. People are scared of it, but I can guarantee if you sit and feel it, and just, you know, have that little chat with that feeling, going, I accept you. Now, some people say, but I don't want to accept it. And I'm like, well, when you just sit with it and feel it and accept it, it then starts to go. And it's like, whew, you can breathe again. We want to get, you know, them into the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest, the digest, the calm. But it all comes from your body and your heart brain. You know, we've got three brains going on in us. So it's getting out of your head, going to nature, bare feet on grass, connect to the nature, the sounds, mindfulness, and take some time out for you to breathe. Breathing, our breath doesn't cost anything. It's so incredibly powerful.
Yes.
And to just take that deep breath in and deep breath out, and everything just starts to calm then, and gets us out of that overwhelm. It takes practice, it takes deliberate practice, but it can be done.
Libby, I love how you just answered that question. That is fantastic, because, you know, we're so busy and overwhelmed and just a lot of distractions. So we're continuously focused on things outside of us, and that's what has us be disconnected with ourselves. So I love what you say. Even starting, I did this morning routine. I'm the sleep coach, sleep success coach, and I always talk about, you know, your morning routine is the first hour of your day is the most important, and the last hour of your day is very important. And how we're living our life in between is normally determined by how we wake up and how we go to sleep at nighttime. And when we can sit still start off even for 30 seconds, and you can increase that gradually every day, doing gratitude, like what you said, sitting on the heart, coming into the heart and really feeling. And when we're feeling, it comes from our body, and we can manipulate that, if you like, in a way to, we actually do have a choice. People think you're nuts. We actually do have a choice in how we're feeling, and we can change that. And we can do body things like gratitude or sitting on the heart, as you say. Think of a place where you've been that you really enjoyed, or somebody that you love, and it will instantly raise your vibration. And from there, you can tackle any problem, and just quite slow down and activating that. The vagus nerve, I talk about the vagus nerve a lot as well, which activates this rest and digest nervous system. So breathing, everything that you said, gratitude, breathing, so simple to do. It's not easy, and it's a habit. Again, it's a habit, but when you do a little bit every day, that habit becomes a behavior, if you like, you know, that we practice it often.
Getting out of your head, you know, because that's where the overwhelm is, and that mind chatter, and it can be so destructive to your life
and your children.
When you're disconnected from yourself, you're disconnected from your kids.
Yes.
So
absolutely. And your kids pick up on that. Again, we spoke about this earlier. If you're upset or whatever, your kids, even you mightn't even say anything, your kids can pick up on it. They can pick up on, and it has an impact on the whole family. So be responsible for how you're feeling, and know that you have the power to change that, to change how you're feeling, and that will have an impact on your kids and your family. You'll all sleep better, you'll eat better, you'll live better, and have a better relationships with each other. That's just incredible. Libby, we've come to the end, and I think we fitted a lot in. Is there anything, last thoughts that you want to share that we haven't discussed, maybe, or you want to reiterate some of what we've spoken about, sum it up, maybe just leave us with an empowering thought?
I think it's all about the three things that I talk about in my business is compassion, communication, and connection.
Love it.
You know, and that really sums up with the family. But I know we haven't fitted everything in. We'll have to talk about the school next time. We'll do another one.
There's a lot to unpack about school and the education system, and just create an awareness, you know, because we want the best for our child. We want our child to be more effective at life, and really it's all down to practicing let them be who they are and express themselves, and using the other part of their brain, the creative part of their brain, and not conforming so much, you know. And there's a lot of learning and memory stuff going on in the school, but we need to be more creative as well, and let them do research kind of work. Do you know what I mean? Let them off on their own instead of just teach them. They have to memorize. Anyway, that's a whole conversation, but we definitely will get you back on, Libby, and have another talk about that. But it's been amazing. One thing that you said there was compassion as well, and I love that, Libby, because we need to be kind to ourselves. We need to start by being kind to ourselves, and for mothers in particular. I know for me, and I'm an entrepreneur, and there has been times where I've had that mummy guilt, and you know, being compassionate, I think it starts with being kind to yourself and know that you're doing a good job, you're doing the best that you can. So that's your intention. Your intention is always do the best that you can, because
we expect our kids to do it, but yet we're not doing it ourselves. You know,
exactly.
The amount of parents or mums will say to me, I just want them to do and love themselves. I'm like, well, are you doing that? And they're not. So
be the example you want your kids to be. Absolutely. It's been incredible, Libby. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Listen, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you very much.
I do hope you are enjoying these conversations, and to help me continue pushing these videos and audio podcasts together, I do have an ask. I do need support. to help me to keep bringing you knowledge and insights, there is a Patreon link, patreon.com/empowering family health, or you can make a donation via PayPal. All the links are in the description and the pinned comment. You can do a one-off or you can do a monthly support. So I'd really appreciate that. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Take care.